Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Video Clips. And I have a couple of announcements and then some really great information to share with you, actually, really encouraging. First of all, you probably have heard by now that we are offering a Black Friday 2-for-1 sale customized for what you're interested in. Products are not eligible, but some of our educational programs and membership upgrades are. This expires December 2nd, so if you're interested, send me an email at pampopper@msn.com and I'll respond to you. We'll see if we can work out something super duper special for you. Okay. Second thing, December 6th and 7th is Optimal Life and Health with Pam Part 2, which is healthy aging. We're going to talk about things like increasing your metabolism and energy levels, bone health, cognitive health, optimal digestion, a little bit of dietary supplements, hair and nails, and how to keep your nice full head of hair, grow nails, mental and psychological health, and what it means to age and live until you die. All right. So if you're interested in that, let me know. All right. So I want to talk about inflammatory bowel disease today. And I'll just start by saying during the last almost 30 years, we've helped many of the Wellness Forum Health members who showed up with Crohn's or colitis, which is our forms of inflammatory bowel disease. Over 20 years ago, our group of super talented health professionals, including me, wrote a great guidebook with lots of references and created an online course on this topic for people who suffer from these diseases. Now, while remaining in close contact with their gastroenterologists, many of whom I have to say are pretty interested in alternative treatment plans and embrace diet and lifestyle change, some of our IBD members have been able to take less medication, step down to less toxic drugs, and even have medication-free periods, some of which stretched into years. When we started researching the topic, I was astounded, frankly, at how much published information we found documenting the impact of diet and lifestyle choices and psychological state and other modifiable factors on the development of and recovery from inflammatory bowel disease, or IBD. This is important because without some type of non-pharmaceutical intervention, the prognosis for IBD patients is not very good. Worsening health, often surgeries are involved, the development of additional autoimmune diseases, because IBD is an autoimmune disease, and sometimes early death. I hate to say it, but that happens. So you can imagine how pleased I was to find a recent article just this month. It's titled, "It's Time to Change Tack and IBD Treatment." It was written by doctors who are involved in the treatment of or researching IBD. And I'll just read the first section of it. It says, "The current treatment paradigm for IBD exclusively seeks to dampen or modulate what is presumed to be an excessive or aberrant immune response. Despite mounting recognition that environmental factors like microbes, diet, and other exposures associated with a Western lifestyle are critical contributors to both the etiology and maintenance of disease, current guideline-based therapies are primarily immunomodulatory, or drugs called biologics. Modifications of environmental factors have proven to be successful for other gastrointestinal diseases. In contrast, the development of IBD therapies along these lines has been slow to emerge. The researchers asked, what has impeded the evolution of these therapies? Well, they cite two things that won't surprise you: less funding and fewer financial incentives. Teaching people to eat differently, for example, doesn't pay as well as developing biologic drugs that can cost tens of thousands of dollars per year. And then the perception that changes in diet and lifestyle just can't be as effective as really expensive biologic drugs. The authors state that after 2 decades of biologics, some people experience relief from symptoms and some have some healing, but the vast majority of people don't achieve durable remission in spite of the introduction of many new drugs. So I want to talk about what the prognosis is for an IBD patient who just takes drugs. Now, I'm going to start by saying one of my pet peeves, which I intend to fix before I depart the planet, is that the informed consent laws are not enforced in any state at this time. So what happens is the IBD patient isn't told, first of all, that there are known strategies like diet improvement and addressing psychological state for improving their health. And they're also not given accurate information about the efficacy rates for the drugs that are preferred at this time, the expensive biologics. So most of the evidence for commonly prescribed biologics is from randomized responder studies. And at the beginning, the response rates at the beginning of treatment are pretty high, as much as 80%, depending on the drug and whether or not the patient has taken other drugs before the biologics. Of the responders at 1 year, the range of efficacy is 7 to 35% for Crohn's patients and 10 to 45% for ulcerative colitis. It's noteworthy that in some of these trials, individuals responded to placebo and remained in remission on placebos for periods of time. But those rates that I just gave you are really, really low. When the response to placebo is figured in, the absolute benefit of the biologics is lower still, and the overall range is a low of 10% to as high as 20.4%. In other words, not so good, meaning, as the author stated in the beginning, durable remission remains elusive for the vast majority of patients. The author's right. Although biologic therapies have revolutionized the treatment of IBD, a durable response cannot be assured. Every busy IBD clinic has patients who have failed 1 to 4 or more advanced therapies and are still in search of an effective solution, and patients who cycle through available therapies with shorter term or incomplete benefit. They write that newer drugs continue to be developed, but none of the ones in the pipeline will basically be game-changing. Now, the medical system and physicians are firmly committed to treating IBD with drugs, and the reasons include lack of knowledge about the use of strategies like diet, fecal transplant, probiotics, and targeted supplements, and addressing stress and psychological state. Lack of funding is another issue, and there is the belief that withholding drug treatment would be unethical. And those are barriers. But as I mentioned earlier, when we started researching better options for IBD patients, we were shocked to discover that there are hundreds of studies showing that diet and lifestyle habits, psychological state, and other modifiable factors are primary causes of the disease. So it makes sense that if you address these, you could make things better. So at the very least, other important, these types of changes should be recommended to patients with mild to moderate disease. And in some cases, of course, it has to be based on the judgment of the doctor as a standalone treatment, and sometimes in conjunction with milder drugs, which used to be the standard of care before the expensive biologics were introduced. And the United States remains an outlier, by the way, in terms of prescribing the very expensive biologics first. There are older drugs that are cheaper and, frankly, less toxic that were very effective for a long period of time. And so some of the more old-fashioned, if you want to call them that, gastroenterologists still prescribe some of these drugs. But even patients taking biologics should be encouraged to do everything they can to improve their health and reduce dependence on the drugs. And the reason is that even if the drugs work, they don't work for very long. And as a result, younger patients run out of new drugs to try, which leaves surgical removal of diseased portions of the gastrointestinal tract as the only remaining option. So please do pass this on to anybody who you know has inflammatory bowel disease. Our resources could be really helpful. And again, this doesn't have to be to the exclusion and shouldn't be to conventional care, but at least as an adjunct. And sometimes, like I said before, periods of drug-free remission are attainable, and many gastroenterologists are all on board with facilitating that. All right, just a couple more things before I sign off. We start shipping holiday cookies next week, so please get your order in. $29.95 includes shipping any place in the continental United States. Health professionals training and tuition will increase in 2025, so this is a super duper time to talk to me about it. Send me an email, pampopper@msn.com, if you would like to discuss. The COVID vaccine injury class is on December 11th, and so if you haven't registered for that can qualify for the matching gift for Black Friday if you're interested. And I guess the last thing I want to say is to have a wonderful Thanksgiving, a healthy Thanksgiving. It's not a time for gluttony. It's a time really to be grateful, to eat healthy food, and to be grateful for all that we have. And I just want to say that one of the things I'm super grateful for is the opportunity to spend my time doing what I love best, which is helping people to improve their health. So thank you for giving me the pleasure of working with you. And again, do pass this on to others other people who may benefit from hearing today's message. So thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your holiday. There won't be a Thursday video because I'm going to be eating healthy pumpkin pie and sweet potato casserole and celebrating with friends. And I hope you will be doing that with family and friends as well. Have a great rest of your day, and I will be back to you next week with more news. Thank you for watching.